So many more remote workers, so many online business owners. I think everybody should do once in a while something that pushes them outside of their comfort zone. Those residency options abroad that are usually easier to get might get harder.
What countries are on your radar and on your clients' radar?
I would say
Hey guys, it's Johnny. New Year is a time of reflection for people when they look back on the previous year and they look forward to the year that's coming and they think about new things maybe that they want to try. Perhaps they want to travel more, perhaps they want to change careers, or perhaps they want to do both, change jobs and travel more. And if that's the case, then maybe a digital nomad or remote working lifestyle is something that could be of interest to you. There are a lot of countries out there accepting digital nomads. There are a lot of places to go. There are a lot of great ways that you can live this lifestyle. But where do you even get started? Today, I'm joined by Kathy from Wanderers Wealth. She is a digital nomad and international tax consultant, and she is very knowledgeable when it comes to all these kind of things. We're going to talk about how to get started as a digital nomad, where you can go, and what are some of the things you should look out for in 2024. And so with that said, I hope you enjoy the interview, guys. Let's go. Funny one for the viewers. Yeah, we had a couple of technical issues today, and then a week ago as well, you had a power outage where you are as well. But finally here now.
finally made it happen.
Yeah, great. So for people who don't know who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Such a broad question.
Yeah.
Well, most people know me as Kathy, the founder of Wanderers Wealth. I have been a digital nomad for over 5 years. A little bit of my background. I have always been fascinated with different financial systems. Also due to my background, I guess, I was raised in a very multicultural environment. So I always wondered, what it would be to be raised in a different country and what my life would have looked like if I was raised in another country, and the different economic opportunities I would have had. So that led me down a path of studying economic history. Eventually, I went into law and did financial law, business law, and at the end, international tax law. And that led me to enter the sphere of taxation, and I became a lawyer in tax law. And eventually I was kind of tired of the office life, of the corporate lifestyle, and I decided to quit my job and started traveling. And later on, I met a lot of entrepreneurs in the online digital nomad hub, which is Bali, and all of them were asking me for help with their taxation. So that's kind of where I started with Wanderers Wealth and how I started in this online taxation space that was pretty new, I would say, when I started 5 years ago. It seems to have become very mainstream nowadays. So many more remote workers, so many online business owners, which has been great, for me and my services, my expertise to be able to offer this to many more people.
Yes, there's been a big increase in digital nomads and people working remotely, I think, since 2020, which is very cool. As you say, people have a lot more freedom, a lot more opportunities to explore in the world today as well. So speaking more about Wanderers Wealth, so what kind of services, what kind of help can you offer to digital nomads and travelers and, entrepreneurs through your company?
I always say that I help people with the legal logistics of their move abroad. So the kind of things no one wants to deal with, or the kind of things, no one wants to have to think about, but that are inevitable in the end, are taxation, residencies, applications, visas, bank accounts, how you're going to structure your business if you've decided to move elsewhere and to create an income from there. So all of those legal logistics is what I help people with. And I have services, where people can book in consultations with me, one-on-ones. But I also do offer online products, mostly focused on the educational part so that people can learn it themselves and execute it on their own without needing me to be there for them.
Yeah, you have a number of courses available on your site, which are very, very helpful for people. And it's a great first stop for someone who maybe, doesn't have a huge budget for consultation, but wants to learn more. So your courses are definitely worthwhile. And I'll tell you all how to access them at the end of the video as well. And so do you think that's what separates you from other players in the space, if we look at it that way?
Good question. I would say it's a mix of people being able to have access to me directly via my Instagram. I always tell people, like message me. I'm always happy to have a chat via direct messages on Instagram. And through that, I am super approachable and I really enjoy those conversations that happen, behind the scenes, and that I get to know so many interesting individuals as well, because I admire my clients and students, I have full admiration for them and for what they're doing. Like I've seen some crazy online income streams being created out of nowhere, basically. So I think it's a two-way street, me being very approachable with people and really wanting to leave them with something better than when they came to me, even if it means, I have to refer people out. And that is quite often the case where, people aren't really necessarily ready to move abroad just yet. And in that case, I usually refer them out to local tax accountants so they can at least get in a better tax position locally, but always trying to help people to get to a better position than when they found me, when they reached out. And definitely also, I really enjoy being able to share that knowledge. I guess because I'm personally someone who thrives on learning new things and figuring things out on my own. I was so excited, when I created my online courses and put basically my brain down into them, to be able to offer this to everybody without needing me to be there for them. It's almost like, I don't know, I've heard, chiropractors who kind of become tired of people being so dependent on them. Like, that's the thing. I don't like people to be dependent on me for them to be in a better financial position later down the line. Like, I want them to be able to access the knowledge right now, get the information they need and execute it, and, coming with a better outcome at the end of the day. So, I guess that's it.
Wow, great answer. Now let's talk about actually being a digital nomad or a remote worker or someone who travels and works. So, from your perspective, a digital nomad yourself and someone who helps digital nomads, why should someone join the adventure or someone pursue being a digital nomad?
I think everybody should do once in a while something that pushes them outside of their comfort zone. And I think being a digital nomad is a great step into that sort of completely new lifestyle for most people. Most of us weren't necessarily raised with a nomadic lifestyle or being able to have an online income stream or not needing to get a corporate job, climb up the corporate ladder. So it's something completely different than what I think our parents taught us to do or encouraged us to do. In my situation, it's definitely the case. I still don't think my parents really know what I do in this day and age, but, this is where we're at. And I also think it's good to figure out what skills and talents you've got, because oftentimes creating an online business, you really need to figure out, okay, what can I provide to people, what can I sell them to, whether it's an online product that you design because you're wanting to create something for yourself, or you're seeing a lack in the market that doesn't exist yet, or even if it does exist and you think, I could do this better than what we've currently got out there. It just sparks your creativity creativity and to really focus more on what can I provide that I could add more value to. So I think it's a great exercise for everybody to go through. In saying that, nowadays there's so many remote jobs out there, so you don't even necessarily have to create your own online business or your own online service, online product. You can be hired by a company that is happy to employ someone remotely and do your job from anywhere. So the doors are so much more wider nowadays to get into that digital nomad lifestyle than they were like 5-8 years ago.
Yeah. So there's many open doors in terms of, professional opportunities, jobs. There's also many open doors in terms of countries that welcome digital nomads and try to attract them to their country. How does someone decide where is the best place for them to go when they're going about this journey?
That's a great question. And I think one that people often don't really think about, because when they think about, I want to be a digital nomad, they think, okay, what can I do? How am I going to make money on the road? But what I oftentimes don't think people give much thought is, where am I going to go that's going to surround me with the right people, that is going to open up so many more opportunities. So where you're at, in which environment, which country you go to, which location, is so important for where your journey is going to be headed towards. So I always say to people, it's best probably to go to a digital nomad hub. There's multiple around the world. There's some in Asia. So you would know Bali, Thailand, Chiang Mai, they're known as like the digital nomad hub is in Asia. Then there's Europe. You've got now Portugal that has so many digital nomads. Bensko is also becoming a really popular one. Eastern Europe, in Bulgaria. Then obviously Central, South America, you've got Colombia, Mexico that are really popping up. So I always think it's a good idea to start out in a place where you're surrounded by other like-minded individuals. It will give you a softer landing into that lifestyle than if you were in a place where no one's working online, everybody's got their regular jobs, like everyone thinks you're kind of, the black sheep or whatnot that is so outside of the norm. So that's definitely a great place to go. And then secondly, if we look at it from the legal logistics perspective of, where can you get the proper visas, residencies, there's over 50-something countries now that offer digital nomad visas that can give you a year or sometimes even 2 years, up to 5 years stay, so that you can legally reside in a country and have even the legal working rights to be doing your online jobs from there.
Yeah. Soft landing. I like that expression in this context as well, because I read sometimes the Digital Nomad Reddit and I see stories of people who've, they've gone abroad and it's maybe not what they expected to be. So that's a really good tip that you gave there. I like that.
Yeah. And personally, I also like to prepare myself usually before I go to a new place, whether it is a digital nomad hub or not so much, by joining online forums or like Facebook groups. They're always a great resource to know a little bit more about, which suburb should you stay in, which suburbs should you avoid, or where's the closest co-working space. You can even find that out on Google Maps, look if there's coffee spots around where your Airbnb is going to be and stuff like that. So a bit of preparation for that big step goes a long way.
Yeah, great. Now let's come back to a bit of the legal logistics. So you mentioned visas. Also, there's residency options and citizenship options as well. What is the advantage to someone of having a second citizenship or a second residency, do you think?
Well, the advantages are basically that, first of all, you're not giving away your whole power to one country. Basically, you're securing yourself multiple options around the world. You've got options to choose from and can pick and choose the best, that each country has to offer. If you've got a second residency somewhere, especially, the longer term ones, it's almost like you got the same rights as a citizen. Usually, yes, you don't have the right to vote, but everything else is usually covered. Like you can even access the healthcare system. You have working, living rights in another place. So therefore, if, something crazy is happening like there was 3 years ago, you always have another place to choose from and aren't restricted by the only options that your country is offering. And if the country that you're from has currently someone crazy in power, you want to be able to have that choice and be able to go somewhere else without needing to be in panic mode, because that's also something that I've seen, especially, last year with the whole Russia-Ukraine war. There were so many people from both sides that needed to have another option, that wanted to escape their places, but they didn't have other European residencies. I'm saying Europe because it was close by. So then, even in that panic state, they then had to put on top of that those legal logistics that are, cumbersome, like having to fill out documentation, having to have whatever criminal record check and stuff like that. That is better done during times when you're at peace and aren't necessarily rushed, so that when stuff like that happens, you can just simply, activate your residency and just go if you haven't used it already. So it's about securing like an alternative option. It's about having those options available to you, because you just simply never know, especially in this climate. There's always more stuff popping up, more crazy stuff going down. So you want to be able to choose. And also, it's just simply another door to another financial system. It means you can get a bank account somewhere else. It means you might have access to another taxation system that hopefully is even better than the one you were part of before. It means you might even be able to get better healthcare than you were getting before. So yeah, it's about simply putting yourself in a better position than you were before.
Yeah, that's great. And coming back again to taxation, obviously something you specialize in. What kind of schemes exist and what benefits exist for digital nomads where they can legally go somewhere and lower their tax rate? And why is it something that they should pursue, do you think?
Tax schemes specifically for digital nomads, I wouldn't say there are too many. There are a few digital nomad visas out there where digital nomads don't actually have to pay taxes while they're on the digital nomad visa there. They're very limited, and usually as well, digital nomads, when they apply for it, they have to show their past tax returns or show, their entities or how they are employed or how they're set up, basically, who they're working for. But what there are is quite a few countries that offer tax incentives in general for foreigners, whether it's digital nomads, online entrepreneurs, or even retirees, or simply high net worth individuals who just live on passive income sort of style. So one of the most popular ones has been Portugal. It's been a lot in the news because it has attracted so many foreigners. And they have been pretty successful with their program in being able to bring in foreigners and in exchange to that offer them low taxation rates. And a lot of people seem to have been very successful in applying that system to their individual circumstances. And it's been going great for the country as well in terms of, how much more people know about Portugal. It seems like every American dreams of having a Portuguese home now, and it's attracted to so many more individuals over there. But they are numerous countries around the world that offer tax incentives, whether it's in Europe, you've got Portugal, you've also got places like Italy that are finding themselves more on the map now in terms of taxes. It seems like everybody has had an Italian dream, of a house in the Tuscany and stuff like that. And yes, it can be paired as well with tax incentives, and you've also got those in other various different countries. And definitely as well, for digital nomads, it's always a big incentive to go to tax havens. Tax havens are places that have zero personal income tax rates. The latest one, Dubai, where everybody seems to be flocking, especially online entrepreneurs, especially crypto millionaires that, have had enough from their home country's taxation, and especially because they've made so much money with crypto in the last bull run that they realized, I've got to set myself up somewhere else that is not going to tax me that crazily. So they've moved over to Dubai. And there's several different options, as you would know. A lot of them are laid out in my course, but it really depends on usually what your income stream is, whether you're making an active income through, for example, your online business, or whether you're living off of capital gains from crypto, or whether you're receiving dividends. It really depends a bit on your type of income. And then based on that, you can say, okay, Portugal actually works for me, or no, I'm better off going to Dubai or going to Panama or wherever else might offer a tax incentive for people to move there.
Yeah, good. Yeah. Dubai, obviously very, very popular. It's like everywhere now, it seems, and Portugal as well. However, the NHR scheme is coming to an end, if I understand correctly, which is probably, yeah, it's a shame for a lot of people who maybe did want to move to Portugal, but something you talk about, on your social media a lot is like opportunities come and go, certain opportunities won't be there forever.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it really depends with these type of things. Also, what government is in power, what sort of political agenda they've got, and things like the NHR in Portugal. It's been up for a while. So, and it kind of has served its purpose, and people knew, at some point they might not drag it out forever. They might change it. And so, yeah, this year the announcement came out that the NHR, will close down basically at the end of the year. Crazy stuff has happened since, there's another government that came into power because the last one was done for corruption. So they rechanged the law, but the law still remains that, it will basically end, but it will be changed. So they've changed the regulation. The NHR will still kind of exist a bit differently, not as beneficial as it used to, but it's definitely a good reminder for everybody that, while you can, don't drag those decisions out. If you are thinking about moving abroad, if this is a topic that interests you, of relocating yourself, if you can make money online and it doesn't really matter where you're at, to really go and pick those programs that can give you huge benefits. It makes a huge difference whether someone has a $50,000 tax bill or a $0 tax bill. So yeah, really think ahead of those things and don't miss out on those opportunities. It would just be a shame.
Great. All right, so last part of the video, let's talk about your outlook for 2024. So what do you think are going to be some of the key themes and considerations for people trying to build a global track strategy next year?
I think people should consider the fact that those residency options abroad that are usually easier to get might get harder. We've seen this already with places like Panama, where it used to be super easy to get a residency permit, but then they've changed it 2 years ago. And even Mexico's residency requirements and prices keep going up every year. So the price changes every year. They're becoming more expensive. I also think within this area of global strategies, second residencies, second citizenships. Other governments are starting to not like it so much. So they're wanting to, especially, for example, the European Union doesn't really like golden visa, second citizenship options. So they're starting to put on pressure on countries that actually offer these options by telling them that they're not allowed to offer it any longer, by putting in restrictions that they're not allowed to, get access to all of the other countries and whatnot. So, I don't know, a lot of international pressure, I'd say, even on the OECD level for the global minimum corporate tax rate that has even pushed the UAE to now introduce a corporate tax rate of 9%, which a couple of years ago you would have kind of laughed if someone suggested that, because it's the UAE, it's the tax-free country. By the way, it's still tax-free on personal income tax level, it's just not anymore on the business tax level. So a lot of more international pressure that might drive some countries, to comply more with what the international players are wanting them to do. A lot more, I would say, also data sharing. We as digital nomads, online business owners benefit from telecommunications, but so do the countries, governments. So they are obviously putting in things into place where they can see how much income you're making. Sometimes PayPal is directly linked to your tax ID. So the tax office comes to you already with a pre-filled tax form because they know how much you made if you're running your online business from PayPal or whatever. A lot more data sharing, a lot more compliance. And I think it will just simply first of all, make people realize that if they want to secure their options, they should do it sooner rather than later. Because if you're usually in the programs, like with the Portuguese NHR, if you're able to secure it still during 2023, you're in and you've got that status for 10 years, so you're almost grandfathered into it. But if you do it too late, like there's only going to be the option available that is available to everybody at that point. So getting in while the programs are still in place, and also making the most of the opportunities that are out there, I'd say.
Nice. And what countries or what particular locations, schemes, etc., are on your radar and on your clients' radar for next year as well?
For next year, I would say still Dubai, a very favorite one for clients, just simply because it is tax-free. They've also changed the tax residency rules, which has made it really interesting for a lot of people in terms of only needing to be there 90 days in order to trigger tax residency. And that also means, you won't necessarily have to be there the whole time. That is something that I'm seeing a lot more often, people wanting to establish almost like different homes around the world and making sure that their main permanent home is in a tax beneficial country such as Dubai. I'm seeing a lot more people being attracted to Central and South America, that's for sure. And, even over there, things might still be, what is written in the law is very different from what is being exercised on the ground. However, you can see a lot more compliance coming up. You can see that, governments are starting to pick up, hey, we've got so many foreigners living here, we should get a cut as well, of whatever they're making. But definitely, you see so many digital nomads nowadays in Mexico, Colombia, those places. And Asia seems to be wanting to attract simply high net worth individuals, places like Bali, Thailand, even Malaysia. The Thai elite visa has become way more expensive than it used to be a couple of months ago. And Indonesia brought out the second home visa, which is just mainly focused on high net worth individuals coming in. So the entry level point is becoming harder than it used to be a couple of years ago, where you could secure easily long-term residencies with maybe just putting $5,000 in a bank account. Nowadays, those $5,000 don't really get you very far.
Yeah. Yeah. So lots of options, but a high entry point, as you're saying.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. Great. And so, Kathy, as we draw to a close, what final pieces of advice, final words would you have for anyone who's really thinking about giving a digital nomad lifestyle a shot in 2024?
I would say if you're thinking about becoming a digital nomad, listen to that inner voice and trust yourself a little bit and give it a go. Because there will be a lot of things to figure out, in terms of lifestyle, in terms of what countries are you mostly attracted to, what climates do you like, which communities are you mostly attracted to, but also the legal logistics side of things, the more unpleasant things, I would say, your visas, your tax obligations, whether or not you want to go back and forth between your home country and wherever you're attracted to. But, take it step by step. Other people before you have done it. Nowadays, you're in the most lucky spot that there is so much resources out there that can guide you and, can be a helping hand. There's podcasts out there. As I said, there's Facebook groups out there for digital nomads where you can get inspiration from. And yeah, you just got to find the courage to actually go and do it.
Amazing. Kathy, thank you so much. This was a great conversation. Where can people find you on the internet, and where can we find your courses?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Johnny. I've really enjoyed this conversation. And as I've said, I'm usually hanging out the most on Instagram. My handle is @wanderers.wealth. And it's also there on my bio where you can be linked to, all my services and products. And yeah, otherwise, just drop me a message, voice message even, about, what you're currently stuck with within this sort of legal logistics type of thing. And I'll be happy to guide you.
Perfect. There you go, guys. I'll put Kathy's handle on the screen, and I'll put her links in the video description as well. So be sure to go and check her out.
Thank you, Johnny.
Thank you. So I hope you enjoyed that interview, guys. Hope you found it useful. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I got a lot out of it in terms of understanding the digital nomad and global tax landscape. And be sure to check out Kathy on Instagram and her digital products. I'll leave the links to her social media and her online courses in the description. Leave a comment and let me know as well. Are you thinking of becoming a digital nomad in 2024, and where are you thinking about going? Till next time, I'll see you on the next one, and let's get this money.